Hello everyone, welcome to LSM Reviews Devil May Cry 4. We're moving right along into it this time. You know how this works, and you know what this is and how it works. I've already reviewed Devil May Cry 1 through 3, so don't forget to check those out if you haven't already. With all that being said, let's go ahead and start with the gameplay. Now I'm having a very hard time deciding if this gameplay is truly an improvement over Devil May Cry 3, or if it is the same or even maybe a minor step down. The game certainly polished some things, but made some things drastically worse. So let's just start with what they improved upon. In general, they really improved air combat. Nero doesn't need to change styles to use air combat properly, and doesn't need to change styles to do any of the more basic things like that. Nero is an all-in-one package that has all the basics of all the styles. He's got a perfect dodge mechanic that's just as good as Trickster Circle Dodge, if you can get it. Air combat without needing Swordmaster, and nothing away from Gunslinger or Royal Guard. Nero feels very easy to learn, but difficult to master compared to Dante, who is hard to learn and hard to master in this game. But we'll get to him. Nero has two unique gimmicks to him, the Devilbringer and Rev. Devilbringer is a special circle button attack that can be used to do tons of damage to enemies when they're open, or even stop boss attacks if your timing is good enough. Another ability of the Devilbringer is Snatch, the single most useful thing in the entire Devil May Cry series. It was so frustrating in Devil May Cry 3 when you knock an enemy back and you lose the combo due to Stinger or some other attack always having so much knockback sometimes. Well, Snatch lets you bring them to you and continue the combo as long as the enemy is alive or vulnerable pretty much. It's so useful that I found it jarring as Dante because I kept trying to use Snatch only to not be able to. And Nero's other unique gimmick is the Rev. With the right timing on almost all attacks, you can rev up Nero's sword, which makes his attacks do more damage and more stylish too. Being able to effectively double your damage through properly timed revs is beyond satisfying, and I really can't overstate how fun that mechanic is. And that's the last thing. And the last thing to cover for Nero is his Devil Trigger. Nero has a very, very neat Devil Trigger in this game. I dare say, excuse me. Professional here. It was also my favorite, until something very bad about it became obvious. Offensively, it's one of the most satisfying Devil Triggers up to this point. Way better than DMC3's, I'd say. However, when you realize this Devil Trigger lacks some of the invincibility frames of other Devil Triggers, and will more often be blocked or hit out of than actually doing a combo, you start to realize how it's not really that useful. But that's all for Nero. I know that was short, but trust me, there's a reason. Now for the next character, Dante. So let's just start with the obvious thing here. He feels beyond out of place here. It is so unbelievably clear Dante isn't supposed to be here. Dante doesn't have the mechanics that are central to DMC4, so it's just, maybe try using the shotgun? The shotgun is used by Dante as the Swiss Army knife for the mechanics he does not have. Dante also feels extremely overwhelming when you first get him. Going from Nero's more simplistic style straight into Dante's complicated style switching and abilities makes it incredibly jarring and overwhelming to use him, especially when you have all those Proud Souls and you can just get everything at once. What makes Dante so bearable in other games is that you get it over time and not all at one time. Now this is where it significantly improved over DMC3 though, because the style switching on demand and the way you can use all of his weapons gives the player a lot of freedom on how they want to play. Except it doesn't. But I'll get to that after Dante, or maybe even at the end. Dante's Devil Trigger doesn't really feel special though, basically boiling down to just spam Stinger and Devil Trigger, bro. Dante is vastly improved from DMC3, but feeling like he doesn't really belong sets that all back. Now for one of the areas the game takes a major step back on, and I mean a massive one. Enemy design. The enemy design for Nero is good, sometimes not so good, but it's good. It's passable and really good for Devil May Cry, but it's not particularly great. However, since Dante isn't made for any of this stuff and he is so out of place, the enemy design for Dante is laughable at best. You see, Dante is so much stronger than Nero, and the way they balance Dante being stronger is to give every enemy super armor. What? Devil May Cry is not a series of artificial difficulties, so what is this garbage? It makes it where, like I said, Dante not belonging holds him back so much because the enemy design for him is the same as Nero. They just have super armor. By the time I finished the game, every fight felt like a chore, and I was dreading having to fight almost any enemy type because I knew it would be just miserable for me. And this is where, like I said, the freedom the game gives you as Dante is ripped away because of the super armor stuff, making it completely unbearable to me. I hate this kind of artificial difficulty in games. And considering 1/3 of the game is spent fighting these super armored enemies, it just feels so lazy with Dante. This is all extremely obvious when you fight the bosses because Dante just massacres them all. So the enemies are absolutely hell to deal with, but I beat the bosses within an inch of their lives so easily. Yeah, got it. And the final section of the gameplay portion, level design, a step down from DMC 1 and 3. It honestly feels sometimes like DMC 2. Everything is somehow less interesting to look at than 1 and 3, and it feels tedious after a while. For Nero, it's not awful, but let's get back to the good old shoehorn Dante again. Got a notification on my phone. Probably should have silenced that. Yes, my notification is Virgil saying Devil May Cry. Unscripted, but yay. When you go back through with Dante, essentially playing the game in reverse order, instead of just making the moment of Dante showing his superiority by just tearing through everything, every level has an insanely annoying gimmick to make you sick of it in 5 minutes. Couple that with the super armor, and you have a truly unenjoyable experience. It almost feels like whenever you're starting to have some fun as Dante, Capcom comes to kick some sand in your face. I know all of these complaints have seemed a little over the top, and some of them are, but a lot of it is honestly just that annoying in my opinion. This all makes me knock a full 2 points off of its final score. Now, on to the story. Oh joy. So, I don't really have a lot to say here, other than it's not really good. It starts pretty interesting with Dante seeming like the antagonist, however in like 5 missions it pretty much devolves into save Kyrie. Then 7 missions later it turns into play the game in reverse. Why? Because I said so. Dante has to come and clean up Nero's mess for 7 missions, then we switch back to Nero for the final fight. So here's the problem with the plot structure like this. Nothing feels resolved. They could have had an interesting character arc for Nero, had a really cool story with Dante in the villain role, but instead we get a half-baked Nero plot, making his character pretty much revolving around screaming Kyrie's name, and we get a fan-servicey Dante section. Overall, I'd say the story is pretty weak and pretty uninteresting. Of the 4 OG DMC games, I'd say this has the second worst story. The only one that's worse is probably DMC 2. Overall, I'd say DMC 4 is a mixed bag of a lot of good, some issues from previous games still being present, but some fixed. The camera still being bad outside of combat makes some puzzles annoying, but they did fix it in combat though, so they do get points for that. I'm going to be a little harsh and give this game a 6.5 to a 7 out of 10. It's good, but does struggle a lot, and by the end I found myself not enjoying it in the slightest bit. Anyways, that's gonna do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoy. Let me know what you think of all this in the comment section below. Let me know your opinion on the game and if I'm wrong for my opinion. I've already played DMC and Virgil's Downfall, so I'll have that review up maybe the week after the Game Awards. The way that review will be structured is I'm going to do them both in one video. Sorry, my voice died, remember, COVID. I'm going to review DMC itself, give it a score, then Virgil's Downfall and give it a score, and then give a score on DMC Devil May Cry as a whole. Spoiler alert, I liked it. I really, really liked it. But that's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in tomorrow's Deep Thoughts video. Y'all take it easy.